Okay. So what this video and what I want to show you is related to the VAT in South Africa. For South Africa, we're able to claim VAT back from the government. So it's important that all of our VAT is properly classified in the financial account so that we can claim it back. And one of the key aspects of this relates to the expense reports and how things are set up on the expense reports. And as you know, as you put together the expense reports, if we don't have the proper details broken out in the expense reports, it's a problem, and it adds to more confusion later on. So I'm going to show you in the expense app what needs to happen and what needs to be done in order to make sure this is correct. Okay. Just I'm going to log in. So there's a bunch of different parts related to the VAT and the VAT process, but this is really kind of the first process. And since we have right now upcoming the expense report process, I wanted to just highlight and show you what that's like. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my screen. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right, so you should see here the expense app for South Africa. Okay, so what's important to do before we create the expense reports is to go to the, oh, I think it just stopped sharing. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, I can see it.
Okay, so hang on. This is not right. Okay. Okay. So you have the expense app open, and before the expense report is created, Neo, I don't know if you're the one uploading all the expenses or other people are uploading expenses, but one of the things that needs to be done is if you go to the expense items by going to my expenses, and then you're going to filter on the expenses for the period. So in this case, its expense date is say January. Okay. And we're going to look for the ones that are, we're going to group them by status. Ones that have been paid already means that they've already been in the prior reports, whereas ones that are to submit are ones that in theory should come up on your expense report. So these are the ones that right now will be on the expense report. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort these by the account to be able to look at them all together. So when I look at them, you'll see this is a space where the taxes, it would appear if there is VAT taken into account. Now, the important thing is that when there is VAT, that the VAT is properly showing up here so that we're able to claim it back, and we're able to have it appear on our reports. For VAT purposes, we're not able to claim on the fuel. So all these, you know, if I click into one of these items and it shows on the receipt VAT or whatever, it may not, I'm not gonna, we're just gonna ignore it because for fuel, we can't claim the VAT. So first thing I do is I come down to combinations here, and sometimes you'll see VAT in these, sometimes you won't, but it's important to review each and every item to make sure anything that has VAT on the receipt is picked up. So if I come in here, I see here, let's see, if I look at this receipt, I can see, hang on. Sorry, I'm just trying to see this. Okay, so in this case, it says there's no VAT on the receipt, so I'm not gonna concern myself with this. If I go to the next one, same thing, no VAT. So once again, I'm going through each item here after the fuel, and I'm making sure that the VAT is correct. And if I look at the receipt, so for example, this is a total bill for 529, and there seems to be VAT on it. Okay, so here it's correct because I have the amount before VAT, I have the VAT, and you have the 529. So this is perfect. That's exactly what you want to see. But in a lot of cases, what people will have done is they will not have put the VAT. Now, in this case, this is a problem because there's no VAT here, but it's also it's not addressed to us. So we typically can't claim the VAT back. But if I go through these receipts, here's VAT included. It's total is 470, which is perfect. 408 plus the VAT, that's perfect. And what you'll find is, okay, this is also perfect. Typically, in a lot of instances, the VAT may not be on here or claimed. So, for example, let's see. It doesn't say if there's any VAT in here, so that's fine. I'm just going to go to one where the VAT hasn't been put on there properly. Okay, so let's go. Once again, you're going to go through all these, make sure the VAT's there. And you can see there should be multiple pages for this. So let's go into here. Let's see.
Bruce.
Okay, so here's a perfect one. So sorry.
Okay.
So here's a perfect one. So you see here, ice samples 20, totals 20, but there's VAT in here. Okay. So what has to happen, and this is a perfect example, what happens a lot of time is somebody will put the information in without the VAT. So all you have to do in order to put the VAT in is go edit, put in the equal sign, go into the price, put an equal sign, go divide it by 1.15, and then click over here to VAT. And now you'll have the amount before VAT, the VAT, and 20. So this is a perfect example of what you're looking for and trying to make sure is done before the expense report is created, okay? And you're gonna find that not everybody is consistently doing the VAT correctly. You know, like here, this doesn't say if there's VAT or not included. It also has no price, so I don't know what's going on here. So you have to be, you know, before, you need to be reviewing all these expense items to make sure they're all correct and the VAT is all being captured before the expense report is being created. And that's really the first part of the VAT, which I wanted to go over with you, because once again, as Sebastian or myself are reviewing the expense reports, we don't want to come in here and see items that don't have the VAT that should have the VAT, or, you know, that there are things that are not correct. So I just want you to be aware of what needs to be done as you're going through the expense report in terms of making sure it's all correct. So I don't know if you can hear me, Neil, but I don't know if you have any questions, but this is really just the first part of the VAT process. What's going to happen after this is that you'll see in our financial accounts, and I'll just talk you through some of the next steps in our financial accounts. If you go to accounting, and you go to reporting, you go to trial balance, there's two accounts, one called VAT receivable return not filed, and one called VAT receivable return filed. Now, each time an item each time we have VAT and we select the VAT and we say that there's VAT, it will go into this account, VAT receivable return not filed. And if you go into the trial balance and you click on this little arrow and you go to the journal items, you're going to see for every item posted all the VAT that's been recorded to the receivable. And what happens at the end of each month is that our VAT consultants, which is Nikki and Melanie, will go through everything in the VAT return not filed, and they will tell us what is going to be on the return. What happens then is that a journal entry is posted in order to move what the individual items that are going to appear on to return from the VAT receivable not yet claimed to the VAT receivable to be claimed. So you'll see here items that are reconciled. So for example, everything, if I look at this, okay, so if I look at this journal entry that's posted, this is moving 50,000 of items from the VAT return not filed to the VAT return filed account. Okay. And what happens then is that those particular journal items in the 50,000 are reconciled to show which things have been claimed. So here's 50,000, everything in A18757 has been reconciled with it. So if I look at what's in my account and I filters on reconciled, it's going to show me every single item which we have not yet claimed on a VAT return. Okay. Now, if I go to my trial balance again and I go to my VAT receivable return filed, this is going to show me my actual VAT returns and that were filed with the government. So for example, you'll see here, everything that's unreconciled means we either haven't yet gotten the money back yet, or it hasn't yet been reconciled with the bank. And so for example, here was the VAT return. This is the amount we were expecting to get. And if I click into this journal entry, what you're going to see, here's the actual return that was filed. So all the support for it, and it's got the exact number. And so in the trial balance, you're going to have all of the actual return amounts, and then they will be reconciled with the bank. So in this case, we actually, you could see we got the money in. The VAT, the amount got was credited to our account. So I could actually, this is something that would need to then be done, which is basically these two get matched off and they get reconciled, and we can just reconcile it. So now if I look at my account, you can see the account is zero because we got back every single return that we filed with the government. We got back all the money. But the actual first step in the process is going through the expense reports. The next step in the process, which is going to be dealing with Nikki and Melanie and their part of the process, we'll walk through that separately when they do their analysis of the returns and how to reconcile everything. But once again, this is just the first step to make sure the expense reports and all the expense items have the correct VAT that's going to be posted, so that when they go in and start to look at the VAT return not filed, they're going to find everything that they need to find in order to do their, for them to do their filing. Does that all make sense? Is there any questions?
I'm hoping that my network is a bit better and you guys can hear me clearly now.
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. So I had one question. So
Yep.
You see, when the initial expenses being loaded, sometimes you find a receipt where it's a mixture of items that are either VAT exempt or others are zero rated and others
Right.
are on a standard rate. So now how do you load an invoice like that? Because if you maybe you put a pre-VAT number and you put the 15%, automatically it adds the 15% on the total amount that you've added. So do you add, like it's one invoice, do you add it as two expenses that must total the invoice, or how do you go about that one?
It doesn't happen that I haven't seen it happen that often, but usually what happens is what'll happen is if we make the total. In the past, I've just put in the pre-VAT amount, assuming that the whole thing was on VAT. And then what'll happen through the return process is Nikki or Melanie say, oh, you claimed, let's say, VAT of 15, you should only claim 8, and we'll do a journal entry to adjust it out. So usually I keep it simple by recording it as if the whole thing was either it was all, either if there was any VAT, I put it in as if it was all, all 15%. If there was no VAT, I put it in none. And then that whole other process in terms of, oh, you could have only claimed part of this because part was VAT exempt. that happens through the return process. When Melanie does the return, she reviews it and says, oh, here's part that you can't claim, and then we adjust it out. That will come up as we do the return process and what we can actually claim and what we have to write off. So I don't get too crazy with separating out the expenses. Once again, if it's on one bill and one expense item because there's one receipt, I wouldn't break it up. I wouldn't go to that extreme. Now, the times when I would break something up is, let's say we have one expense item, but there's, let's say, multiple projects that it relates to, multiple analytic accounts. Then you really should break it up, because you can't, if you go to the expense on the expense report, expense app, you can't actually put in multiple analytic accounts for a particular expense item. So if, let's say, you have here, it's this, let's say this water treatment was for 2 projects, I would, let's say, break it up in half and put a note in it and put on, one expense item for the one project for half, the other expense item for the other project for the other half, and make sure it's noted why it's different than the receipt and what's going on. But I wouldn't get too crazy if the VAT is partially rated or not. I would just show it for the full VAT, and once again, it'll pop out through the return process, and it'll get corrected there.
Okay, no problem. I'll just add a note on some of them because I've come across that. I just have a few that I need to load, and that was a dilemma.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. It doesn't happen too often, but once again, I wouldn't get too. If you want to, it's fine. If you want to break it out into 2, I don't have an issue with it. It's up to you. Like, you can do it that way, but just make sure it's noted that, okay, this why the amount on the expense item is different than the receipt. You're gonna have to make sure it's clear and noted so that people understand. It's not these items tend to be small, so I'm not too concerned. So if you do it that way, that's fine. If you decide to do it through the for it to come out through the expense through the VAT return process, that's fine too.
Well, okay, no problem.
So either way is okay. Okay. Do you have any questions on the expense reporting process in general? I know you've been working on it, and I know, once again, it's something that is as part of the process in the monthly close. It's the most critical piece to get the close done, because we have credit card expenses, and making sure everything's reconciles out to the credit card reports is key. So do you have any questions on the expense reporting process?
Not really. For now, I'm still happy. I'm just, it's just a matter of invoicing and going back to them, because, for example, like in this one, for example, it is, for me, it's, what do you call this? It's not really an invoice that what he's loaded. So having to go
exactly.
back.
It's just, he doesn't show what was purchased, which is not good. He needs to come back with an actual bill or something.
What
shows
was
what it is.
actually purchased. So
Exactly.
yeah, so usually on Mondays, I like some of the expenses here. I usually take the bank reports and just check if things have been loaded, and then if there's issue, I just have to go back to the various people that were loading. From Mpumalanga, luckily I'm the one loading, so at least it doesn't give me issues. But when it goes to KZN, I just have to go back to Sian and ask for these things. But I wouldn't say I really have a problem with it. It's something that is manageable.
That's good. Okay, so I think so what we'll do next is, when Nikki and Melanie do the VAT return, we'll walk through together what has to be done, and we'll show you what happens on the VAT return in order to move things from the VAT not filed to filed, to reconcile it, and then to clean up the accounts and get you kind of on your way with the VAT process. The other part of the VAT process that I'd like to make sure you're on top of relates to anything that we haven't claimed because we had insufficient documentation that we could maybe claim in the future, and just chasing down the proper invoices or the proper details that are needed that, maybe between Penny and Nikki and Melanie are, saying, okay, these are the things that need to be fixed or happen in order for us to claim VAT. So if you could also be on top of that, that would be great.
Yes. So, yeah, I actually have a quick question about that, because usually when it comes to that, there's a standard way in which they want you, like the
Correct.
company name, the address, the VAT number. So I just wanted to know the implication that comes in when they go, for example, to Macro and buy stationery worth 5,000 using a card, because now that is just a standard slip. Does that somehow affect you guys, or like how does it work?
If it, I think you have to check with, I usually, if it has VAT on the slip, I'm showing it on the expense report. I don't recall if Nikki and Melanie kick it out because it doesn't show the details of what's on there. But that's something you can raise with them in terms of, and we'll see through the next VAT return process, which you'll get involved in, what becomes issues and what's not. Okay, so this next cycle of doing the VAT returns and reconciling it with the books is something you'll get familiar with, and then you'll be more interactive with Melanie. I've been handling the VAT process and the returns for the last several months, and I think it's pretty ironed out well now and pretty smooth for you to take over and to be able to deal with it and to deal with them.
Oh, okay, no problem then. I think for now, I'm okay. I don't have
Okay.
any complaints.
Good. Okay, so why don't we leave it at that? And once again, we'll have another training session when the VAT returns are done. Because the first thing I wanted you to get involved in and take over is kind of that VAT process, and then we can talk about other things in terms of ODU, in terms of the monthly close and the general general ODU aspects.
Okay, no problem then.
Just hi everyone. Sorry, just jump in very quickly. I just wanted to I'm sorry I missed the beginning of this call, but I was wondering if you guys had discussed the invoices from 2021, 2022 to be added into ODU, that conversation. Did
No,
we
we
talk
haven't
about that at
talked
all?
about. No, we
Okay,
haven't.
so Neo's been working, just Bruce, for you to know, and Sebastian, like
Okay.
Neo's been helping with us with that. And we have that document, the Excel document that I know you'd sent out and that you wanted filled in. So Neo, I don't know if you had any further questions about that. I know we talked about it a little bit today. But Bruce, I can send you, and Sebastian, I'll send you as well, the document, the Google Sheet that she's been working on.
So the key.
We put it into Google Sheet, so it's collaborative.
Okay, so the key things to do, Neo, and to understand is that none of it will work unless everything is done precise. So what I mean by that is, let me share my screen a second.
Well, I'll share it with you right now so you can also see what's been done so far.
All right, but let me just share with you two things. So for example, if you're going into, if there's something called what's the product, and if you, let's say, if the product is, let's say, drilling, these are the different things in the system for drilling. Now, if you put in drilling with a lowercase d instead of a capital D, it's going to be a problem. If you put in drilling and construction with drilling and spell it and construction, it's going to be a problem. So it has to be precise and exactly match what's in the database for the things that you're putting in. So for example, if you go into the projects, and once again, if we go to the projects, you'll see here, each project has a number, a space, a dash, and the name, and is, capital. It's got to exactly match up, because if it doesn't, and it's matching up to something else, but not what's in this database, it's not going to load, and it's going to be a problem. So that's the first thing I need you, Neo, to make sure that as you're working on this, that you're getting the information and you're looking it up and making sure that it's correct relative to what's in the system, because it's not going to load into the system if you have different names or different spellings or different capitalizations or different spacing. Okay. So you can, if you want to share your screen, you can show me what it is that you guys are working on.
So I just shared it with you and Sebastian over email. If you want to
Oh,
see that now.
you want to just open up? Like you can.
I can open it. I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we have. But so for example, I already see that like this needs to be quality, but
Which one? Not the description, but not the description. No, the description's
product.
fine. Description could be whatever you want. It's where it says the product.
Right.
And see where you go to the analytic account. You see how their spacing is not correct. See how like 10, 1138 and 1015. See how there's a space next to. See there's a space before 10, 1138. See how there's space. Go into 11. Go into the first one. See how there's a space at the beginning.
There's a few spaces. Yeah.
Like all that stuff.
I'm like trying to fix it. Yeah.
Like all that stuff's got to be very, got to be very clean. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now, do you see what I'm fixing here?
And you shouldn't. And do me a favor. Don't have any rows as separators. Just get rid of so there's no rows and blank rows in the middle.
Yeah, we just had that because we were doing it collaboratively.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, but we can get rid of those pretty easily.
Right.
Okay, I'll fix the ones for Mafasala right now, but basically the idea is that we're putting it in for all those that we saw that had missing ones on Odoo.
Correct. And if you scroll, let's see, scroll over to the right.
Sorry.
Scroll over to the right.
And with a link for invoices.
So you're gonna have to. If we don't have an amount in USD,
but can we just translate that because we do everything in rands?
Can
we just put a formula in and put it to whatever fixed?
I'll deal with it. But everything, the amounts need to be put in negative. So you see how you have it all in positive? You need to put it in negative.
Okay. Now, are you hearing this? Are you able?
Yes, I'm hearing this. So I'll just amend the. Yes, I'm hearing everything. I'll just amend the document.
All right, and then just go show me the dates. Do me a favor, show me the dates because we've had some issue with. Yeah, that's all fine as long as they're all the same. Is there anything in 2022?
This I don't understand why.
No, but go. That's fine. Let's see.
I don't know why it would switch it to instead of 20.
It's
whatever. It's in American, but.
But you scroll down. So scroll down. So keep scrolling down. See that some of the dates are different format. And you can't have some.
So now they all need to be in American.
Yeah, you can't have them. You can't have some. Go into the ones that are different. Go into that one.
Yeah.
So you can't have them like. You need to have them in a consistent format all the way through. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and you can't have something that says no date on invoice. I can't have that. That's not going to work.
Okay, so
I have to have
what do we do?
I have to have a date. I have to have a date. So you got to give me a date. So
okay, so with some of them, because I wasn't too sure, like I'm not really too sure with and familiar with what the invoice is all about. With the description, I'll just write out the whole description, and then Caroline and I will just discuss it in terms of where it falls under. For example, whether it falls under drilling or yield building. I'll just have a discussion with her, and then when it also comes to those with a date, I think we'll just probably talk about it because you find that it's an invoice that literally has no date.
Yeah, that's fine. You could just put in any date if you want, as long as in 2021. Just put in some date, some sort of date. But I need a date. Okay. If you want to put in 12/31/2021, I don't care. Just I need to have a date. Okay. And then,
okay, no problem.
So just make sure all your dates are consistent. Make sure everything is, and scroll all the way down. There shouldn't be any dates in 2022. Okay, so invoices. So
even if there are missing invoices for 2022, they're not in Odoo?
Well, but they shouldn't be missing. Why? So because if we made a payment, well, explain to me.
I feel like.
Explain to me what would be missing. Because if they're missing, that means they weren't paid. So
now, can you, for this one, for example, like the engraved plaque for Kahula, you're saying that it wasn't on Odoo?
Yes, it wasn't on Odoo.
But how was it paid? Because everything from 2022 was paid from Odoo. So doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
Because there's two of them here also.
So the 2022 stuff.
It's the same thing. It's actually the same company. If you look at it, it's for graphic. It's for the plagues. Both of the invoices are not there, even though it's different projects.
Yeah, but once again, every expense. Every payment, every cash payment that we made in 2022 ran through Odoo. So it may be sitting there somewhere else, but it can't be that there's a 2022 item that's here that was never, you know what I mean? You have to find the original item that we paid that's paid in Odoo for 2022 because everything ran through Odoo in 2022.
And so for now, we can, we'll remove the, or let's make a note of those somewhere else.
No, it
Uh,
may be that it may be that it's in the system and it wasn't reported properly, and then we could do an adjustment. That's fine, but you need to find where it was reported in 2022 so that I can make an adjustment accordingly. But I don't want to add it a second. This would have me adding it a second time. If you understand what I'm
Right,
saying.
and if we didn't pay it, then that doesn't make any
Then
sense.
if we didn't pay it, then we have to pay it, right?
Right.
You got it. So 2022 items you got to investigate further, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so now why don't we make a section also on 2022 items?
Or do me a favor,
Okay.
make that as a separate tab, because
Or a
I'm
separate
gonna
tab.
because I'm gonna upload. If your file is perfect, I'm going to be able to upload it into the system after I make some adjustments, after I do some things and get it all in there. Okay.
So yeah, so I made another tab, so we can just add those in there now. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Now, do you have any other questions about that specifically?
No, I think for now I'm fine. I'll just look at the other files and then I'll add the other projects in, and then I'll just send this to you. We'll discuss it, just make amendments where it needs be, and then good to go.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I'll also make the changes based on the dates and the negative numbers as we discussed, and then yeah, we'll take it from there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, and then Bruce, if there's anything else, just let me know. And
No,
you
that's
have
fine.
access to this now, so.
Well, yeah, like
But wait, no, don't look at it until we're done with
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
I actually just need it in Excel, so I'll when it's all ready, you'll let me know.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to be able to see it because to make sure that we're on the
Okay.
right track.
No, and also just go into the numbers. Do me a favor, go into the numbers. Go into one of the numbers. Go into one of the. It's find one that has a comma. Yeah, go into the one with the comma. Go into what I want. Yeah.
Click on
Perfect.
the
Okay.
link.
Yeah, perfect. No, I know. I just wanted to make sure that it was not. It was formatting that you didn't put a
Oh, I see.
comment. Yeah, so that's perfect.
Right.
It should, once again, everything should be entered as numbers, and if you have formatting that's a comma, that's fine. I'm just making sure that it's not entered as text.
Okay.
Wait, can you please repeat what about the numbers, the formatting of it?
No. You should never, like, for example, in order to keep the integrity of the system, you should never enter a number like, let's say, if you enter in like $ and a number, it's no longer a number in the system. It's now a text. So you should, or let's say you enter in a number with.
Them to be numbers so that you're
I just want them to be numbers. Yeah, the formatting is different. How you format and how it looks is basically, that's a selection you choose. But as long as they're all numbers, I was just concerned that maybe you entered some numbers in as text by, let's say, instead of 48,300, you entered 48,300, and then it would be a problem because then it would be text and it would have to be fixed. So.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, good. So like the 40, go down to the 47,920. Go down to the 47,920. You see that perfect example. Now that's not a number.
Okay.
So you got to go.
Yeah, all these need to be changed now to.
And you see how it's got a comma there.
It should be a period, not a comma.
Well, or not. Yeah, or nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Because once you do that, it's no longer a number in the system, and all of my data needs to be exactly the same. Your 47,920, the one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you got a bunch of them. And you see, it's actually.
Yeah, these are all.
There's a whole bunch of situations where the numbers aren't set up as numbers.
Right. Okay. So we'll work on that too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'll send a link of the recording for you, Neo and Caroline.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Sebastian, you want to say?
Bye. Thank you, Neil.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay. So we have a few minutes now. You want to continue on from yesterday or now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So for Israel, I know you were gonna look at that and trying to clean up the balance sheet a bit so the sub report's working. Good. And let me know if you have any questions or anything that you need help with in terms of fixing it. But in terms of breaking them out and getting the sub reports to work.
You mean the expense report of the other countries?
No, like
for
on
Israel.
for Israel. So like, for example, like making sure we get the accounts broken out so that the payables match the payable sub-report. You know what I mean? So you were gonna move some stuff to prepaid, or you were gonna get it so that, once again, we
No,
want to
that's fine.
okay, good. All right, so that was,
Yes, and no, I think it will be okay. I need to
Okay.
upload tomorrow the credit card info because
right, this comes out tomorrow, the second, yeah, it comes out.
no, yes, also for the dollar. The dollar is only showing up tomorrow, and
Right.
also for the shekel. So then we start working with the Indian team.
Okay.
Bank reconciliation is almost done. So
So you're gonna close your month financials pretty quickly, is what you're telling me,
yes,
for January.
yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, we'll go. That's for great. So a couple of things. Let's talk about the expense reports for this month for the African countries.
Okay, Cameroon, I'm waiting for I think I know
Yeah.
how to do that. Malawi and Cameroon, we already
Perfect.
did it.
If you are happy to do Zambia, Uganda, everything other than South Africa, and everything other than South Africa, I would say, why don't you do the other ones as well, if it's okay with you? Yeah,
No problem.
it doesn't take that long, as you see. Let me know. Let me know when they're done, or let me know when you, and I'll take a quick look through them as well. But I'm happy for you to do everyone. Like I said, the only one that don't do at this point will be South Africa, because it's a little bit different. I want to so I do all the other ones. And what else? I'll look through the what I'll do is I'm going to look at the expense items itself, and I'll flag if there's anything I see that needs to be kind of addressed, in terms of the expense items, but in terms of categorizations, in terms of whatever.
Okay, I can do so.
Yeah. So for the monthly close, I'm going to send out a note today about the monthly close. What I'd like you to do is, maybe for the likes of, let's say, Cameroon and Malawi, you'll review the monthly close package for them. I'm going to show you the worksheet that I use, or the kind of checklist I use to go through the monthly close.
Perfect.
And I'll show you the checklist and what's done on their side. So let me just get that to you.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll do all the expense reports against South Africa, and then you'll review the monthly close for Cameroon and Malawi this month.
Okay.
If I go to,
yes, Michal start tomorrow. She's getting the laptop, and then next week she will be 1 day.
okay.
Starting from the week after, she will start working half time, and from April she will start working full time.
Okay.
So that's so sounds good.
Okay. So you'll see, there are monthly close folders that each of the countries have, and sorry. So each country has a monthly close folder, and I'll show you, and they upload all the reports and all the documents to that, and they fill out a checklist, okay, in order to go through all the various items. I'm going to send you the checklist for you to look at, and there may be some things you want to change.
This is a general one, yes?
This is the one for each person this is the one for each local accountants to complete, okay?
Okay.
And then there's one that I'll show you that I go through when I review it myself.
Okay.
So this is the one that I'm going to send this to you, and if there's things we want to change, we can make changes and tell them, here's the updated checklist. But this is the checklist that they all complete. They all file.
It's also good for me. It's good for me as well.
Right. So this is a checklist which I've created, and shows you all the various things that I'm asking them to do and to save. Okay, I'll send this to you.
They send you. So they send to you.
Well,
I'll signed also.
They initial it. They put in any comments, and this is the first thing that I review.
We are working under SOX policy also.
What that?
They are working under SOX policies.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
part
you know,
of the internal, the month closing, financial
Yeah.
closing process, right?
exactly. So,
Perfect.
yeah,
Very
so then we have, that's one thing that they do. And then the other thing is if I go into, okay. If you go into the Google Drive,
Yes.
you'll see there's a folder called monthly close. Let's see. Let me go into the Google Drive. In your shared drive, under accounting and finance, can you see my shared drive?
Yes.
Okay. You'll see monthly financial reporting folder.
Okay. Yes.
You'll see 2022, 2023. If you go
Okay.
into
Perfect.
if you go into 2023, you'll see a folder for each country. Now I'll show you, and in each folder, you'll see the month. And this is where they drop their documents. I'll go into 2022, and this is where you'll go. They'll tell you it's done, and this is what how you'll review it. So you go into 2022, and if you go to Cameroon, go to December. So here's the monthly close. Like you'll see the checklist that they filled out.
Yes.
And
Okay.
and all the backup and all the support, bank statements, everything that should be in here in order to support the monthly close. Now,
Okay.
so they have a folder, they create the documents, they put everything in there. I'm going to send out an email again to, just to clarify additional items and also mention that you're going to be reviewing Malawi and Cameroon. But then I have what I do on my side. And if I go into, hang on a second. Okay. So okay. So this is my Excel of all the items that I go through in terms of the checks that I do on their work. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I don't, to be honest, I don't fill out the checklist. I go through this as a guide to make sure I've captured everything, to make sure I've done everything.
Yes.
And then I usually, mark it done, but once again, this is just my guide to make sure I don't forget anything when I go do my review. So I'll send
Okay, perfect.
I'll send this to you as well.
Excellent.
And I'll send this to you. What we can do is when the first monthly close package is done for Cameroon, we can walk through it together. It's fine. We can walk through some of it and I can show you what it's meant and anything else. Okay.
Okay.
So-
Yes. Excellent.
So that's kind of, and ultimately, we could have something in place for Israel at some point. We can use this or modify some of this for Israel or whatever it is. But right now, this is kind of the process for the monthly close that's being done. The team is putting all the documents in, and it's all being reviewed. Blah blah blah.
No problem.
Okay.
No,
Okay, good.
I can
Okay.
handle this. Okay.
Good.
Excellent.
So then the other thing I wanted to go over with you, which I sent to you the other day, was I think it was called the Israel allocations.
Yes, exactly. And there is also a draft invoice that you send me like a log.
All right.
I-
Well, let's
I
just
need
go.
you to explain me what to do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go let's go over. Let's see. It was the audit 2021. Israel allocation. Okay.
Mhm.
So for each of okay, let me just make sure you can see my screen. Okay. So basically what I have here, this is a trial balance in Israel. Okay. And you'll see here, this is last year. This is basically everything coming out of Odoo, but and not coming out. This is you'll see the mappings. I've taken like Shola's kind of categories and I've mapped it into like what was the Odoo category. And then I've come up with a ratio in terms of figuring out how much is going to be considered programs, how much is general operations, how much is development. And in order to, the reason I do that is for two purposes, and then I kind of come down to these amounts and these percentages. The reason I do that is because I think on the Israel financials, you have, let's say, a breakout of the expenses into different buckets, right? You have like in the financials a breakout in Israel. And then I also use these percentages. I also use these percentages in terms of coming up with in the US, because we have one line item that's called support fees. I use that to break out the support fees based upon these percentages.
Okay.
So what we need to do is we need to do this for 2022, and you'll see here, mostly I've used a compensation ratio, and you'll see here 2021 comp. I basically took the comp and I went through this with Savan. Okay, this is how much each person was on program activities, management, fundraising, and this all feeds into, you know, these ratios, and that's kind of the way I did it. Now, you may have a different idea of how you think it should be done, but you'll see all these.
I think I used to do this in the same way.
Right. Okay.
To allocate the person. Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to do this for 2022 P&L and come up with these percentages so that I can then use it for the US financials in terms of when I have to do, I have to allocate the US financials for these percentages as well for everything. So if you could do it for the Israel company, that would be great in the Israel 22. Yeah.
Sorry, I got one last week.
Yes, no problem. Okay, I'm not sure I understand this 100%, but I know what we need to do. I will go through the Excel and I will ask you.
Yeah,
but
fine.
You need to have at the end of the task, you need to have the split between which is
program, general operations, development fundraising. Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. The split of the
and
P&L.
only for the general items, let's say payroll and let's say travel, because marketing, for example, if we have some marketing expenses, it's fundraising.
Right, exactly. So you'll
That's
see
why I
some
say
of the,
only for those. Yes.
you'll see the way I did it. You'll see I took the trial balance. I basically took the trial balance, and then I put in the percentages for each one. I said, okay,
perfect.
And you can see this is 100%, and then
Yes,
over here it comes over to the amount, and you'll see the percentages. This is the percentage I used for 2020, and you'll see, and it breaks the breakout here based upon the percentages.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you could just you could just take this for 2022. Come up with the relative percentages.
The only thing I need to, I think that we will need to update is the payroll, the staff.
Yeah, exactly.
The other things maybe not, and I will try to do this only for material amount. If I see something like 500 shekels.
Exactly, and this is how I did the. You know, you'll see here. I ultimately went through what
I
the
did
allocation.
the same in my previous. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So so if you could work on that, that would be great. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, and then show me the invoice that I sent you that we need to go over. I forget which one.
So can I share the screen now? No, you need to let me.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Let's see.
Now, yes. So it's here. We already having you see here, it's not the invoice, but Meir is already uploading invoices.
Okay.
And this is the one story. This is, yes, you see the vendor is Innovation Africa. It's for 20.
But this is the one that you had Shola book. Remember, this is the.
Okay. So it's
this you had Shola book. This is this, but this the accounting date should be 12. It should be 12/30. It should be 12/31. You know what I mean? So this is the. I think this was booked by. Remember, Shola booked this for us. This is not. Let's see. Charge by, hold on, I think, yeah, this is, yeah, this was done in last year, and you'll see on my side, if you go into the US, you'll see it's in accounting period 12/31.
That's the one that we
Chola,
use for the intercompany.
exactly. You may make the
Okay.
adjustment for that. So just, have it in, you can have it in, what do you call it, in 12/31, and just adjust it to your make sure you adjust it out of your final balances so it doesn't screw up your final. But
So it's
you gotta
already
keep-
part of the final balance.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, right. Let it screw up your final balance. Move the accounting date out of 2023, and move
Okay.
the account. Yeah, because it's going to show up right now in the accounting 2023. So if you process it in 2022, you're going to have to adjust your balances or just delete it. You can delete it. I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, you have your final balances. If you delete
Yes.
it doesn't matter. So just go into bills. You just go back and just go to the gear and just hit delete. Go find it.
From here?
Yeah, I think you should be able to do it from there. Try. Yeah. If it hasn't been posted, then yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one we had Chola process for the intercompany, I think.
Yes,
Right?
now I remember the amount,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's already, you
already
have it
there.
in Shula's books, and we have
exactly.
this in Reconcile. Perfect.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Cool.
The other question, maybe it's a kickback question, but Susie asked me regarding the payroll, if I need to be in every payroll email she's sending. I told her no by
Which
now.
one? Say again?
If she needs to copy to CC me in every email she's sending regarding the global payroll.
Who's it, Susie?
Yes.
So I'll tell you what I do on the payroll, or
No,
what I
but,
was doing.
no, okay, yes.
I don't like to get inundated with emails. I don't want to be getting all those emails, and neither do you. Neither do you. So the only
Okay, exactly.
the only two things I would check, I'll show you, it would have to be correct, and I asked them to make sure they're correct. There's two things. Let me share my screen.
No, but I want to understand. I start doing also the global payroll.
Yeah. But,
okay.
But you shouldn't get all these emails. It's too much. It's not. It's
No,
noise.
that's fine. I just I didn't know. I started
Yeah,
doing this.
let me just show you. There's a.
This is starting from February.
Hold on. Let me just.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me just get. I want to pull something up. Okay. So there's a Google Sheet. I'm going to open it and share with you. One second. Okay. Okay. Have you seen this sheet? It's payroll. Have you seen this payroll sheet?
No.
Okay. So this is where HR keeps their updates as far as different changes to payroll. Right?
Okay.
So what I was telling HR is, as long as you keep this sheet up to date with all the relevant changes, my review of payroll or your review of payroll would consist of looking at the payroll, making sure these items are captured properly, right? As opposed to all these emails that you get sent around.
So you mean the check it's only for the new events?
Exactly. Yeah. So from my perspective, I would say, okay, everything should be the same as the prior month. That's why they just would go and copy the payroll from the prior month. That's why I told them, don't put the payroll bonuses in the gross, in the pay, in their individual line items, because you want them to copy the journal from the prior month, and everything should be the same. The only thing you look to them for is what's changed on the sheet here. Any updates, any raises, any changes that you need to be aware of.
Okay.
You understand? That's the way I told, like, I can't manage all these emails that they're sending around and all these other
No, that's what I say. And when do I start with the payroll? It's from February, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's, well, you've already done it for January, so if you've already,
No, I know. Mhm.
yeah, so
Uh,
yeah, it's like I said, I would just, we can go in here and the anticipation would be, okay, you look at this sheet, make sure any events that have happened in the last month are
mhm.
reflected in the payroll. And if they don't have them in here, they need to put them in here because otherwise they're going to be missed.
Of course, yeah.
And, you don't, and make sure that they understand that you can't be getting all these emails about all these changes and this and that, because
Mm.
it's got to be a process, and the process
No,
is,
it's the same for Israel.
Yeah.
We ask you not to send us
exactly,
every time she sends to some employee to ask regarding the
exactly.
vacation days, just to send the summary. Okay.
Right. So once again, I would, I'm fine, with January payroll was done, I'm fine for, come February, if you're working with HR and HR is telling you, yeah, you can rely on this, this is going to have all the accurate information. And this
Okay,
is
I
basically,
have Susie here, so it's
yeah.
I
Yeah, so
can catch her.
this
Yeah.
is basically this is what I would be checking in to make sure everything is right for the payroll. And then each month the team does a reconciliation. You should have on the Excel, whoever did the payroll, a reconciliation from the prior month payroll to the current month's payroll. So you also have that reconciliation to see what changed. You know what I mean? You can
Yes.
easily,
So you
don't-
can find this. Okay.
you can easily, so you basically, whoever prepares the payroll does the reconciliation, and then you go in and look at this, you go, yeah, it makes sense, done. So it should be a
Okay,
very
yes.
quick exercise. Yeah,
Because I need to rely on the local team in any case.
exactly. The
Because
local
they are
team,
doing the
exactly.
the
The local team
calculation.
does the payroll, and then they put a reconciliation, change from last month to this month. You then go in, review against this sheet, and you're done.
Okay.
But just make sure that Susie understands that this, because I found that there are times when it's not all updated or they haven't yet put in the information. You'll see effective dates are not there, and you're like, I can't work this way,
No, of course.
Yep.
And then you miss an employee.
Exactly. And then you have the links here for all the documentation.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, great. And
Good.
then
We can
last
go.
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. No,
No,
it's fine.
they need to be in this call for the audit of South Africa.
It's with the U.S. audit. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's the U.S. audit. It's probably a good idea to just so you're introduced to the audit committee. It won't take long. The audit committee, you don't need to be. It's not going to be
the
very
audit
long.
committee. Today's the audit committee, or is the call
So-
with the audit?
No,
with the
no. So,
auditors?
no, we have a call. The audit committee has a call with the auditors this morning at 10. It's for the
Okay.
US. It's for the US.
So
It's
I
not
will-
South Africa.
so
So it'd be good for you to be there at
Yeah.
least, to be with the, because it's the audit committee.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
good.
just half an hour, yes?
At the most. At the most.
Okay. No problem.
It's a
I'll
bullshit.
be
It's a
there.
bullshit. It's a bullshit quick call. So, it'd be quick.
At the end of the day, it's the most
Okay.
important call.
Yeah.
And they say
Um,
hello and everything is fine. Okay.
Exactly. And talk about
Yeah.
the timing, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. No, but yes, you build the good relationships.
Exactly. And I want them to meet you. I want them to meet you as well, because they need to know, for going forward, as you're getting more involved, that, you're going to be a resource as well.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so there's some other stuff we can go over at a different time, but I think we captured most of the stuff that we needed to talk about to get things moving forward. So I think we're good for right now.
Yes.
So we're
Okay.
good. All right. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sebastian. Take
Bye,
care.
Bruce. Bye-bye.